Hey, we should be live. So I'm over here on Scryfall today because what's its name? Oh, yeah, I'm already on Gatherer on the other page. Gatherer has been running absolutely terribly, and I forgot to update. So on Twitch, or not Twitch, on Twitter, but I think that's okay. I'm pretty sure Twitter's almost dead, so should be able to stop having to update when I go live over there anyway. Also, the only people who ever follow me on Twitter are artists who want me to pay them to do my emotes. And I've already got an emote person. One day I will have emotes, and they will be beautiful. But in the meantime, so we finished on Cold Snap last time, so we're on the Commander sets. So we start with Commander 2013, because Commander 2011 is listed as Magic the Gathering Commander on Gatherer, so when we get down to there, I'll look at it, but so the first couple Commander sets don't organize the new cards to the set ahead of all of the reprints, so even though I have collector number in, it's not going to do that. And that took me forever to figure out that that was specific to the first couple Commander sets. I thought they just did not do that, and it confused me. So, like, Curse of Inertia is new, although I don't think we really care about forcing our opponents to attack each other. Deals combat damage to a player. You and that player each draw that many cards. Exchange control of 2 target non-legendary creatures you can't activate during combat. Gambit. Only during the declare blocker step on an opponent's turn. Move all attacking creatures from combat, untap them, then there's an additional combat step, and each of those creatures attacks that combat if able, and they can't attack me or planeswalkers I control. Don't need the Archivist. These are all reprints. Order of Succession. In proceeding in the chosen direction, each player chooses a creature controlled by the next player in that direction, then gains control of the creatures that they chose. Failure. Attempt with Reflections. Put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of that creature. Each opponent may put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of that creature. For each opponent who does, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of that creature. That might be tempting with a creature that scries or surveils. So, let's pop back over here to River. So, it's really hard for her second ability to be the focus, because red-blue doesn't make other players scry or search, and I don't think anything makes them surveil. Like, I don't think there's any way to make your opponent surveil the top card of their deck. So without cards that do that being maybe in the same deck as her, which I don't think they will be, I think she's the secondary commander for the red-blue Doctor. So I don't know that there's going to be cards that will make the opponent scry or surveil. So her second ability is kind of useless, except if the opponent is voluntarily doing stuff like that, which is entirely possible. Like, I cram a bunch of fetch lands into my decks all the time, so very easily could trigger River that way. But as far as forcing them to take the action, I don't know that there is. So with this one, it gives the other opponents the option to do it, which will then, so if I target something that scries, then they would have to make something that scries also, and then I would make something that scries again. So that is it's a bit of a stretch. Oh, right, I don't actually have it open. There we go. I am just completely on top of my game today. Well, fortunately, that particular page doesn't show all of my personal information. By all my personal information, I mean my other email address that I don't use for business purposes. This is 3 and a blue for a sorcery, I believe. Yep. So we can put it on the list just in case we want to do something like that, but I don't know that we're going to find enough ways to make the opponent scry or search their deck in blue-red. If she were blue-red-black, there are a lot of cards that would let the opponent search their deck in black. Wishclaw Talisman, Scheming Symmetry. I know there are others that I'm not thinking of, like those are the ones that immediately jump to the forefront of my brain, so... beginning of your upkeep, choose target non-land permanent you control and up to 2 target non-land permanents you don't control, then destroy one of the permanents at random. Whenever a player attacks enchanted player with one or more creatures, that attacking player may discard a card. If that player does, he or she draws a card. Nope. Was there a blue curse up here that I missed? Because I don't remember seeing a curse. Oh no, curse. It is Curse of Inertia. For some reason, I thought that was one of those make the creature attack somebody else cards, and I kind of glossed over it. Whenever a player attacks enchanted player with one or more creatures, the attacking player may tap or untap target permanent of their choice. Okay, so back down here. Fisher Events is a reprint. Destroy all non-basic lands. For each land destroyed this way, its controller may search their library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield. So this would force a search. And we don't need a ton of non-basic lands in River. Huh. That might actually be a thing then. So what is this one called? From the Ashes? It's 3 and a blue, or 3 and a red rather, for a sorcery. Sorcery. Yeah, that does force a search. Okay. Or allow... They may search, so they will because I just blew up all of their non-basics and they need to get some lands out of their deck. So that will definitely trigger River. Maybe there's a fun make the opponent search boost River deck also. If we can find... This will be really interesting if I build 3 completely different commander decks around this woman. I think that would be actually really cool. I would like that. Like, if she has so much weird text going on that I can build around her first ability 2 different ways and her second ability in a completely different third way, and all 3 of them are perfectly viable decks with this woman. I am okay with that if that happens. For each opponent, gain control of up to 1 target creature that player controls. These are reprints, Starstorm, Street Spasm, Sudden Demise. Sudden Demise deals X damage to each creature of the chosen color. Tempt with Vengeance. X gets plus X plus O, where X is a number of lands defending player controls. I can't remember if that's actually a reprint or not. Players can't gain life. At the beginning of your upkeep, Witch Hunt deals 4 damage to you. At the beginning of your end step, target opponent chosen at random gains control of Witch Hunt. No. Whenever a spell or ability causes controller to shuffle his or her library, that player puts a card from his or her hand on top of their library. Huh. I already want ways to shuffle decks anyway. I wonder... Oh, but it is that player, and I want to be able to shuffle my deck too, so no. If that were whenever an opponent shuffles their library... Because I don't want to have that out and not be able to shuffle my own library to change where the cards are, so... You may have where Ancient Shred deal 5 damage to target creature or player. Yeah, I can't remember if that's from Alara or not. That's a reprint. I think it is, but... I don't think we need the Eye of Doom. Eyeball, remove all eye counters. Look at the top X cards of your library. X is the number of eyeball counters. Remove this way. Put one into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Yeah, my creatures aren't dying for that. Also, I think Jar of Eyeballs is from one of the Innistrad sets. Now that I think about it. At least 2 more lands than you. Put those cards onto the battlefield, then shuffle. I am planning on ramping with artifacts with this deck, so maybe. I'll also consider Wayfarer's Bauble when we get to 5th Dawn, because I probably want that. We can still have Command Tower, even if I do have some non-basic lands. Might still want. Also, if we build the one deck, and From Ashes is actually relevant to that deck, maybe we don't run as many non-basic lands in that build. Palace. Battlefield, the number of 1/1 counters on it equal the number of times it's been cast from the command zone. So that would be relevant to the search version of her, since it's her power that determines how much damage she deals. So, for the 3rd version of this deck, we might want Opal Palace. Ornate other non-basic lands are unique to this one, right? Check the last page for anything. Nope, okay. We pop back over here. Has obliterated my search parameters. That was Commander 2013. Now we need Commander 2014. There we go. 14. Search. Alright, now we should be in the ones where we do set number and we just get the new cards. So... oh, I put in the wrong color parameter zone. I just now noticed this. I put in white-red instead of blue-red. Okay, let's try this again. And set number. Alright, return 6 target non-land permanents to their owner's hand. There's the battlefield. If you cast it from your hand, tap all non-blue creatures. They don't untap. Target player gains control of up to 3 target non-attacking creatures until end of turn. Untap those creatures. They block this turn if able. Target creature attacks target opponent this turn if able, and morph. Choose an opponent. You and that player each draw 3 cards. Choose an opponent. Untap all non-land permanents you control and all non-land permanents that player controls. Reefworm is the one that dies into a fish, which dies into a whale, which dies into a kraken. Each player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. Exile up to 2 creature cards. Put into graveyards this way. Make an XX blue zombie token, where X is the total power of the cards exiled. As long as you control your commander, Surge Kraken gets +2/+2 and has, whenever it becomes blocked, you may draw 2 cards. Mr. Fairy. Put one of them in your hand and the other on the bottom of your library. Tap up to 4 permanents. ETBs, I draw 2 cards. Beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. At the beginning of my draw step, I draw 2 additional cards. Choose 2 players. If a source controlled by one of the chosen players would deal damage to the other chosen player or a permanent that player controls, that source deals double damage to that player or permanent instead. Daretti. No. I don't think we need Dualcaster Mage for anything. Put a token onto the battlefield as a copy of target creature in your graveyard, except it's an artifact. It gains haste. Sacrifice at the beginning of next end step. Pact Resonance deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures, where X is the greatest amount of damage dealt by a source to a permanent or player this turn. Slight Rebellion deals damage to that player, and each creature that player controls equal in number of creatures they control. Scrap Mastery. Attacks, it deals 7 damage to target creature defending player controls. Warmonger. Destroy target non-basic land you don't control, and target non-basic land of an opponent's choice you don't control. 7 damage to target creature, and 7 damage to target creature of an opponent's choice you don't control. That might be the best offering, I think, because it doesn't ever hurt you. So it just lets your opponent that you're blowing up stuff from... Actually, you can blow up something of somebody's and then let another player blow up something of somebody's. And you don't have to make enemies with the player you're blowing stuff up from. But you can do that to them and then let them choose what else, so that way they make an enemy at the table also, so... Equipped creature gets +2/+2 as haste, can attack you or planeswalkers you control and can't be sacrificed. And you can loan it out. Crown of Doom. Target player other than Crown of Doom's owner gains control of it. Activate this ability only during your turn. Card in your hand. Enter the battlefield as a copy of any equipment on the battlefield. Or a target permanent. Use hexproof shroud. Creature gains haste. Myriad Landscape I probably want in this deck. And Myriad Landscape. Yeah, we're definitely going to want to be able to shuffle our deck, so... Most definitely want Myriad Landscape. Alright, so that was 2013, or 2014. So get rid of 2014. And Commander 15. Oops. 15. Search. Set number. Gain control of target spell. You may choose new targets for it. Myriad deals combat damage to a player. You may draw a card. Enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except it has X. This creature has base power and toughness XX. Ambusher. Cast Mirror Match only during the declare blocker step. For each creature attacking you or a planeswalker you control, put a token that's a copy of that creature onto the battlefield, blocking that creature. Exile those tokens at end of combat. Target spell, bounce a permanent or draw a card. Exile all creatures you control at the beginning next end step. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal that many creatures. Put all creature cards revealed this way onto the battlefield, then shuffle the rest of the reveal cards into your library. Dragon token with flying onto the battlefield. Combat damage to a player. Exile that many cards from the top of your library. Until end of turn, you may cast non-land cards exiled this way. 1 damage to each creature, 2 damage to each opponent, destroy an artifact. Vegas of the Wheel. 4 damage to each of up to X target creatures and or players. 6 mastery. Probably don't need that one. Creatures named Lightning Rager can attack you or planeswalkers you control at the beginning of each player's upkeep. That player puts a 5/1 red elemental creature token named Lightning Rager onto the battlefield. It has trample and haste and sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. to Myriad. Whenever you cast a spell, put the cards in your hand on the bottom of your library in any order, then draw that many cards. Alright, so if there's something that cares about me drawing cards, because I put them on the bottom, then I draw that many cards. So, with River out, I will put those cards on the bottom, then immediately redraw those cards. So, without something else being in play that cares that I'm drawing cards to enhance that, really doesn't do much of anything. Let's see. Physics herself is casting instant sorcery with convert mana cost greater than the number of experience counters you have, get an experience counter, and then makes instants and sorceries cheaper. Don't need the Blade of Selves. It's half their life. Oracle. Deal the Guild Pack. Choose 2 colors. Spell you cast costs 1 less to cast for each of the chosen colors it is. And a Thought Vessel. Sacrifice Command Beacon. Put your commander into your hand from the command zone. Probably not. Okay. It's 2015. Command 16. By set number. Return all non-land permanents to their owner's hand. I mean, the Devastation Tide is already cheaper than this, even if I have, like, if I had 4 opponents, it would still cost 1 more mana, and that's a 5-player game at that point. For me to have 4 opponents, so I don't think so. Of each kind of counter on any number of target permanents. I think we need that either. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, create a token that's a copy of that creature except it's an artifact in addition to its other types, and exile all other tokens created by fairy artisans. I don't need Grip of Phyresis. Reveal the top 10 cards of your library, starting with the next opponent turn order. Each opponent chooses a different non-land card from among them. Put the chosen cards in your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. We're starting to get into the random order years of Magic. Haste at the beginning of each player's end step if no creatures attack this turn. Put a Fury counter on Cinderhorn, then it deals damage equal to the number of Fury counters on it to that player. Exile 2 target creatures, reveal cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card, put it onto the battlefield, shuffle the rest into their library. Enters the battlefield, or at the beginning of your upkeep, gain control of enchanted permanent until end of turn. Untap that permanent, gains haste. First strike at the beginning of each opponent's end step, that player creates a 1/1 red goblin creature token with creatures you control attack each combat if able. Hellkite. Cast their second spell each turn, draw a card. Beginning of each player's end step, that player may draw a card if that player... They draw a card if a player other than you lost life this turn. Battlefield or attacks, attach equipment to it. Boom Pile, Conqueror's Flail. Crystalline Crawler. Ash Barrens and the Prismatic Geoscope. Okay. Nothing that immediately leaps out to me there. 2016, so Commander 2017. Search. Numbers. Whenever enchant players attack, draw a card. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. Tap an untapped wizard. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to owner's hand. Alright, so this was the wizard. Like, the blue cards will be wizards and the red cards will be part vampires, I think. Biggest of the Mind. Probably not. Portal Mage. Brief select which player or planeswalker target attacking creature is attacking. Commander creatures you control get +2/+2 and have haste. Does 4 damage to that player unless they control their commander or a commander. Enchant player is attacked. Create a colorless artifact token named Gold. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. Go to all creatures you don't control. Exile target instant or sorcery from your graveyard. Sacrifice Chemster. Cast any number of cards. Exile Withers at Chemster without paying their mana costs. For each creature you control of the chosen type, create a token that's a copy of that creature. Those tokens gain haste. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step. Give your upkeep, destroy this creature, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card, put that card onto the battlefield, attach Shifting Shadow to it, and then put all other cards revealed in this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. An opponent at random that didn't attack during their last combat attacks that player if able. If it can't... Oh, if you can't choose an opponent this way, tap Territorial Hellkite. A Bloodforged Battle Axe makes copies of itself. That is kind of hilarious for River if she can get through for damage. She just keeps making a new axe and then keeps increasing her power to the point where if an opponent searches, they just kind of explode. Yeah, I might want something like that for constantly increasing her power. If we do that build. Right, it's 2 to play and 1 to equip. Oh, it's 1 to play and 2 to equip. Other way around. Or another equipment enters the battlefield under your control. You may attach that equipment to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and indestructible. I do want to buffer up for that particular build. Oh, N-A-Z. N... Zon? Did not think that's what the cat guy's name was. Okay. Heirloom Blade. Build creature that shares a creature type. Yeah, her creature types are very unique. Oh, well, she is a human. She is a human Time Lord rogue. I'm thinking Time Lord is something that she's not going to have anything in common with. I did not realize she was considered human. Like, that did not register in my brain. Are the other, like, the Doctor and everything considered humans in addition to being Time Lords? I genuinely cannot remember now. Choose a creature type. Creature you control of the chosen type. Nope. Cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. Maybe. Because we do want to be able to manipulate the top card of our deck, so... It'll depend how many rogues and humans we have, though. Since I don't expect us to run the Doctor, so we don't, like the Red-Blue Doctor, so we won't have a Time Lord there. 17... 18... 30 minutes. Alright, so we might be able to get through all of these. Exile the top 8 cards. You may play a card of each type without paying its mana cost. Cast a spell, copy it for each time you've cast your commander. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact. Copy of any enchantment you control except it gains at the beginning of your upkeep. You may exile this enchantment. If you do, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Watching Threshold. Beginning of combat on your turn. If you control your commander, draw a card. You may manifest the top card of your library. Exile a face-down permanent you control face up. You may play that card this turn. The Primordial Mist is actually interesting because it gets the card off the top of our deck, which is helpful when we don't want to draw it and making our scries more relevant, so maybe. Okay, Primordial Mist. It's 4 and a blue, and it's an enchantment. It attacks if you control 3 or more artifacts, loses all abilities, and becomes a 1/1. Enters the battlefield, secretly choose an opponent, reveal the player you chose, choose new targets for target spell or ability if it's controlled by the chosen player, and if it targets you or a permanent you control. I don't think we need Enchanter's Bane. Copy target instant or sorcery. You may choose new copies for the target. So if we've cast our commander once, it's not quite Wild Ricochet, but it does give us 2 copies of the spell. On your turn, if you control your commander, make a 1/1. That token gains haste. It's a battlefield under your control. Create a 0/2 Dragon Egg with Defender, and when it dies, it becomes a 2/2 Flying Fire Breather. Put target permanent you own on the bottom of your library. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card that shares a card type with that permanent. That card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Retrace. Revise. Top X cards of your library. You may put any number of artifact cards with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Then put all cards revealed this way that weren't put onto the battlefield into your graveyard. Mana, gain control of that artifact until the end of your next turn. Deals combat damage to a player. That player creates that many 1/1 survivors. Survivors your opponents control can't block, and they can't attack you or a planeswalker you control. When she leaves the battlefield, gain control of all survivors. There's Brutaclad. I don't think we need for anything. Saheeli is create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. Next spell you cast this turn costs 1 less for each artifact you control as you cast it. And each artifact you control, create a token that's a copy of it. Those tokens gain haste. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step. Copy target activate or triggered ability you control from an artifact source you control. Uh, 3 or more lands with the same name. I mean, I probably will, but it still might take a little while to set up, and we do have a handful of non-basic lands. Probably don't need the Endless Atlas 2-color deck. Isolated Watchtower. Yeah, Forge of Heroes is less than impressive, all things considered. And I don't really feel the need for Retrofitter either. Okay. So that was Commander 2018. Commander 2019. As turn face up, counter all abilities you don't control, or all abilities your opponents control, rather, and Megamorph blue and 1. Turns each commander they control from the battlefield to the command zone. Draw a card. Till your next turn, creatures target player controls have base power and toughness 1/1, and it has flashback. Exchange control of target non-creature spell and target creature, then the spell's controller may choose new targets for it. Enters the battlefield with a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the greatest number of cards an opponent has drawn this turn, and when it dies, draw cards equal to its power. I don't think we need the clone that's a wall. Attacks each combat if able. Attacks, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. Attacks each instant and sorcery in your graveyard, gains flashback. Dockside Extortionist if we want him. Depending on the version of the deck, we might be able to do a ton with the mana, so yeah. We'll consider Dockside Extortionist. Red for a Goblin Pirate. Goblin Pirate, and say 1/2. Okay. Attacks. Each player controls the most land, sacrifices 2 land. Wildfire Devils enters the battlefield. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose a player at random. That player exiles an instant or sorcery from their graveyard. I copy that. I may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. So they would choose the instant or sorcery, right? The player is at random. That player exiles an instant or sorcery. Oh, it does say that player. Oh, wait. Exiles an sorcery from the graveyard. Is there anything about them choosing? You choose a player at random and they exile a card, all while the trigger ability no player may take actions. The chosen player chooses which card gets exiled from the graveyard. Okay, that was the text I needed to know. It sounded like that's what it was, but I wasn't 100% sure, so. That flips the turn order, which I don't care about that much. +2/+0 is goaded, and you can attach it to another like an opponent's creature. Powered auto generator. In fact, you can only attach it to an opponent's creature. I don't need the auto generator. Don't need idle. The pendant isn't letting them do anything that would trigger river. I don't need Scare Tiller, I don't think. Manifest a card from my hand, no. Sanctum of Eternity. Battlefield to your hand. Activate this ability only during your turn. Nope, don't think so. Alright, that was 2019. Oops. Have an X. Yep, randomly hitting the X by accident. 2020. Partner with so each of the partner things is 2 colors, so there's no way we could ever have both of them in the same deck, because there's one that's 1 color and the other one is 2 other colors. Cryptic Trilobite. Counters on it. Remove a 1/1 counter. Add 2 colorless for abilities. Whenever you cycle a card, you may have Crystalline Reconnaissance become a copy of another target permanent until... Oh, Resonance, not Reconnaissance. Until your next turn, except it has this ability. Enters the battlefield. If you cast it, target opponent takes an extra turn after this one. Until your next turn, you and Planeswalkers you control gain protection from that player. Don't think so. Sinner sorcery card exiled with it. Your hand. If you control a commander, you may cast the spell without paying... Oh, right. Fierce Guardianship. And it's going in the deck. A blue instant. Attacks or blocks. Target opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card. Metamorph becomes a copy of that card until end of turn. Then that player puts all the cards revealed on the bottom of their library in a random order. Nope. Goaded. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, I scry 2. Control of target non-creature artifact. Any player may cast spells as though they had flash. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Each player may put 2 1/1 counters on a creature they control. Goad each creature that had counters put on it this way. Collecting SWAT, I probably am also down for. Attacks, you may exile another target attacking creature you control. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library to reveal a creature card. Put onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. 1 or more creatures attack one of your opponents or a planeswalker they control. Those creatures gain menace. Remove a doom counter, then if it has 3 or more doom counters on it, sacrifice it. When you do, it deals 6 damage to each creature. Or a non-token creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield on your control, create a token that's a copy of that creature. The token gains haste, exile at the beginning of the next end step. Nope. Impetus. A treasure. It's a battlefield. Return target instant or sorcery card with cycling to my hand. If I cycle 2 or more cards this turn, return it from my graveyard to the hand. Okay. Whenever I discard a card, put a 1/1... Discard a creature card, put a 1/1 counter on it. Discard a land card, make a treasure. Non-creature, non-land, fights up to 1 target creature I don't control. I don't think we need Refractor for anything. Although it's possible if I'm making the opponent search their deck enough, I would want the one that puts extra counters on River when I cast her. An extra copy of that is not terrible. Choose a color. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and is protected from the last chosen color. Excuse me. If you would copy a spell one or more times, instead copy that spell that many times plus an additional time. And 7 tap, copy target instant or sorcery you control and may choose new targets. That was in Nin. I forget if I took it out because I kept getting into... Like, I didn't have enough other copy effects, and the 7 mana to copy one of my 5 mana Time Walks was a bit rough, so... Even though it would copy it twice. I don't think we need Nesting Ground for anything. Alright, back we go. Commander 2020. There was a Commander 2021 on the list, right? Yeah, there it is. Alright, so one more time with feeling. Much feeling as I can muster. Set number. Go. Voice of Duality. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, you get a 1/1 counter. If you casting or copying an instant or sorcery causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So anything Magecraft-like. But also anything that cares when I cast a spell, and I happen to be casting an instant or sorcery. Guess that's going to be contingent on how many cards I actually have that care about me casting my instants and sorcery. So this is... Aran, Voice of Duality. Like, if I have enough other stuff that cares about me casting my instants and sorceries, it's in a Freet, right? Freet Wizard. 2. Then I'll want this. If I don't, then it's going to be a very easy cut by the end of this. Cast or copy an instant or sorcery, scry 1, period. If the spell's mana value is 5 or greater, make a 4/4. If the spell's mana value is 10 or greater, deal 10 damage to an opponent chosen at random. It is a 4 mana 1/4. I do not expect to have enough spells for the third ability to ever trigger, and not enough for the second ability to trigger that often. So, Scry 1 is not that great a payoff for my 4 mana 1/4. Draws X cards plus an additional card for each time they've cast their commander. No. I don't make a ton of tokens for her. Deals combat damage to a player. That player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery. I may cast that card without paying its mana cost, and that player puts the exile cards that weren't cast that way on the bottom of their library in a random order. Create a Fractal. Based on its mana value, target creature token can't be blocked this turn. Refrain. Exile the top X cards of your library. You may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value X or less from among them. Then put the exiled instant or sorcery cards that weren't cast this way into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Board 8. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, target creature has base power and toughness 8/8. Return all creature tokens to their owner's hand. Return all non-token creatures to owner's hand. Target permanent you control. Target creature and opponent controls can't be blocked. Go that creature. You control deals combat damage to a player. Make a 9/9 Kraken. Non-token creature enters the battlefield under opponent's control this turn. Create a token that's a copy of that creature. Sacrifice an artifact. Cards from the top of your library to reveal an artifact card. Put that card on the battlefield. Rests on the bottom in a random order. Deals damage to you equal to the number of revealed cards this way. No. Has haste. When an ability of a equipped creature is activated, if it isn't a mana ability, you may spend 1. Nope. Shuffle your library, then reveal cards from the top of your library to reveal a non-land card. Exile that card and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. So I get 2 spells, and I get the trigger off of River for making the opponent shuffle if they choose to copy it. Oh, no, I can choose to copy it. If I do, the chosen opponent also copies it. So that's not optional, right? They have to cast it? Wait, hang on. Why does it say if they choose? Doesn't sound like they get a choice if they want to cast it or not. It's like, if you do, choose an opponent to also copy it. That's also what the, I'm presuming, Oracle text over there says too. This happens before the original spell resolves. Your copy goes on the stack above the original. If you copy a spell with Demonstrate, then you then immediately choose an opponent. If they copy the spell, it goes on the stack. Do they have to copy it? Like, this is just the rules for that one. Alright, is Gather ready to work at all? Like, if I pop over here, can I duplicate tab? What's the name of this thing? Creative Technique? Because if they get to choose if they want to copy it, then I probably don't want it in the deck, but... Yeah, it says if they do, but I don't know if they get a choice when it doesn't have a target. Like, some of the demonstrates have targets. So I think that's why it says if you do. I believe that's how it works. I think it's worded that way because some of the demonstrate cards have targets, and if there's not a valid target, then the opponent can't put a copy onto the stack. I'm not 100% sure because of the wording. Alright, I will add it to the list, though. In case I want to do a deck based on River's third or second ability. A third deck based on her second ability. 4 in a red. It's a sorcery. Okay. Alright, Curse Mirror enters the battlefield. You may have it become a copy of any creature on the battlefield until end of turn, except it has haste. Discard a card, then draw a card. When you discard a non-land card this way, Fiery Encore deals damage equal to that card's converted mana value to target creature or planeswalker. Storm. Nope. Inferno Project enters the battlefield with X counters on it. X is the total mana value of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. Exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Whenever you exile one or more cards from your library and or your graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on it. Enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, choose target spell or ability that targets only a single permanent or player. Copy that spell or ability for each other permanent. or player the spell or ability could target. Each copy targets a different one of those permanents and players. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, create X tokens that are copies of another target creature you control, where X is 1 plus the number of instant sorceries you've cast this turn. They gain haste. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step. Dies. Each player may discard their hand and draw 7. Spell target instant or sorcery from your graveyard. Creatures you control get +X/+O, where X is that card's mana value. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player this turn, copy the exiled card. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Don't think so. You may cast a spell with equal or lesser mana value. No. Cares about spells with X in the cost. Eventually makes a big fractal. Each opponent may create a treasure. For each opponent who does, I make a treasure. Triplicate Titan. Cast your commander Scry X, where X is the number of times it's been cast from the command zone this game. If it just tapped for mana of any color and then had this ability, I might be interested, but having to tack on an extra 2 mana to, like, the land and the activate ability cost both have to be tapped to not pay for my commander, so that seems a bit excessive to get that effect. Like, by the time I can scry for a whole bunch, I am paying way too much mana. Alright, we're just about at the hour mark, and I've now managed to go through all of the commander decks that aren't associated with a specific product, and one that was, because either Ikoria or Strixhaven definitely is not listed as Magic, or as Commander 20, whichever year, 2020 or 2021, so... Or was it 2019 and 2021? Anyway... Either way, that's going to do it for me for right now. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good rest of your day.